Welcome to this video where I'm going to be showing you how we can create flexible, multi-select, autocomplete, selectable components within React. Now that was a mouthful, but what I'm going to be showing you today is how we can create beautiful select components for forms or questionnaires, whatever it may be. I'm going to be showing you how we can create beautiful looking select components. So what we're going to be using React Select, and this is a very popular package and it's been around for many years now. I believe the author Jed Watson has worked 4 or 5 years on this, even though he states here, well, the history states 2 years. I did see a talk where he was mentioning how long this has taken. But it's very simple. This is similar to what we're going to be doing, but we're going to be going for more of a newer, established features, such as we're going to be using hooks, we're going to be using function components. So let's just jump down, and there's all these options where we can pass props. It's very flexible. So you can install this package, React Select, either using Yarn, so you can go ahead and install this, or if you're just using standard NPM, go ahead and install it. This is the Git repo. You will find the select component has a website too. So you can see some examples here. So like this is one that's been pre-created. You can have emojis in there. You can have nice little drop-down arrows. You can customize the drop-down chevron. So if we scroll down just a bit more, you can have different options. So you can have loading states. You can disable the select completely. You can even make it searchable. So if I turn that off, you can't search in there. If I turn it back on, you can search in there. You can also have multi-selects. And you see here how they've got some nice on hover states. And we can get rid of those. If I go back in here, add the ocean, add purple. Works really well. Throughout the past few months, I've been creating a few different websites, and I've been using this quite a lot now, and it's very reliable. So without any further ado, let's take a look at what we're going to be doing. So this is just a basic application that's running within React. It's a simple create React app setup. It's got Bootstrap to do these cards, these postcards, and there's just a few images that I've added in there. Standard green buttons in Bootstrap, nothing fancy, but what we're going to be doing is creating some selectable components. So we're going to be adding in the pizza toppings and the size. So if I want to get this New York pizza, because I do love a New York slice, I can add the toppings that I want. So if I wanted extra cheese, onions, bacon, or basil, I can just add them in there. I'm feeling fairly hungry, so I'm going to add more than one. Let's add them all in there. And then the pizza size, as I says, I am feeling fairly hungry at this point, so let's get the extra large. And then you can go ahead and order that pizza. It gives more flexibility throughout this particular application for having a multi-select. If you are creating something like, in this case, a restaurant ordering application, you want to be able to add multiple options. So let's jump into the code. How does this work? So I haven't just yet added the code, so we're going to do that together. I'll give you a quick rundown. Like I said, Bootstrap, we've got a few components coming in from React Bootstrap. Pizza card component, what just gives us that nice card. The card here that's using compound components comes from Bootstrap. 99% of this is Bootstrap. All I've really done is just added in some text. So what we're going to have to do is, seeing as we want to add a selectable in here, we're going to have to go into the pizza component. So that's the pizza card. So there's a few options that we must do to be able to pass, say, an array of objects to our card. And I found the best way to do this is just define it outside your function component and say option toppings. I'll just leave that array empty for now, and likewise I'll do the same for the size, option size. And one thing you don't want to miss, and for brevity I'm not going to be doing it right now, I've already installed it, you want to just use yarn or npm and just import select from React Select, And then we want to have some nice animations that come pre-installed with React Select. So I'm just going to say make animated from React Select animated. So we now have React Select within our application. Let's go ahead and let's add some state. So I will be showing you how to use different handlers as well. So on change and a few different others that we'll be looking at throughout this video. So we do need some pizza toppings, and to save you the time of me typing them out, I will just paste in some toppings there. What you'll have to do, it comes with a standard value and label, and it's not the same as vanilla JavaScript where, say, you pass an event. That event doesn't go all the way through. What you'll get is the value and the label. So if you have an onChange, for example, you won't get the entire event coming through. That is nullified in React Select. So we're going to be looking at the multi-select and a single select. So where do we begin here? We've got our option size. We have a option pizza topping. So what we need to do now is add in a select, and it's very simple to add in a select. All we really have to do is just type select. So let's just do select, and then we have the card. So let's see how that looks. We can get rid of this one now, and we have a select. There's no options in there just yet, but that was very simple. All we did was import the component from its package and just added the component into our file. So next, what we want to do for this singular one, we have to add in the options. And for now, let's just add in the option size. And if you want to change that in the future and use like an asynchronous call, you can also do that within React Select. And I'll give you a quick rundown of that later. So we're going to add a theme as well. This custom theme doesn't exist yet, but we don't want to be using the exact same option handlers. So like in here, if you hover, you'll get the default one from the browser or from some sort of style sheet you've imported, or maybe your own style sheet, but we're going to just override that because we want to jazz up the selectable for the pizza. So I'm going to give it a class name, and we are using Bootstrap of margin bottom 3, and that's for the sake of this demonstration. Let me just get rid of that theme so I can show you. Let's give this nice little gap here. So we'll add the theme back in, and we're going to say placeholder because it does take the placeholder prop. Select pizza size. Next, we're going to add in, is this searchable? Yeah, go on. We can allow people to search in there. That'd be fairly nice. And we should have custom theme not defined. That's okay. Let me show this in a demonstration once more. So we have our 4 options, and that was, I don't know, 30 seconds maybe, and we was able to do that, and it looks fairly nice. You can see we've got the blue hover, which is something I want to change right now. So I want to use that select hover on the options a fair few times, and I also want another select too. So when I bring in 2 selects now, but what I will need at this particular point in this tutorial is I want to be able to have a custom theme, and that custom theme, if you go check out the GitHub or the website of React Select, they give you many options to customize the colors and also the complete styling. You can even write your own components for the options, which is really nice. But let's go ahead and create a custom theme. So we'll just call this function custom theme. It'll take in a theme immediately, and then we can return an object because that prop takes in an object. So we want to return an object. So we'll spread the existing theme so that we don't lose all the default styles, because these are derived from the theme object. So we want all of those in there. And then below it, just like we do in React and JavaScript, you will have seen this multiple times, we can just overwrite or mutate for multiple options. So we have the theme object spreaded. Let's go ahead and set colors, and we'll spread in again theme color, or colors in this case. then we'll do primary 25, and this is a key that comes from React Select. There's many of these, you can go have a look at them for much more customizable options. But we are going to use orange, and for primary we're going to use green, because that's, you know, it kind of looks like a pizza apart from the green, unless you got maybe jalapenos on there. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and check. We have the custom theme in there. Let's also put that custom theme and the options in for the options toppings. So we'll say options toppings. Let's go have a look. That looks good to me. Perfect. We've got the nice yellow orange. It's kind of a light orange in there, but I do quite like that. It reminds me of maybe a bit of a darker cheese. And then we have the pizza size. Brilliant. That's exactly what we aim for. But there is a little styling issue. We need to get the class name from here. We'll put that in there. So we should have a nice, yeah, we've got a nice margin right there. That's perfect. So these seem to work very well. All we've done pretty much is add in two components, and we can start extending this. So we can start having a look now at what happens if we say do an on change, or for example, what if we want a multi-select, because right now I can't select multiple options in here, and that's quite bad. So when you have selected an option, it'll come up green, which is really nice. But I want to be able to select multiple options because I am feeling fairly hungry, and I'm sure the people visiting this website are too. We will add isMulti as a prop, and that should allow us to have multiple options. With autofocus, what this is going to do is it will autofocus onto the first select, and then if someone is using just their keyboard, it'll maybe a screen reader will read this out. And then we'll say is searchable. We'll add an is searchable prop in there. So there we are. This one's come up as auto selects. I'm just doing this for demonstration really, because when React's running, it's going to render the first one. That'll be auto selected, and then the second one will initially, well, it will be auto selected as well. So it will remove the auto selection from this. So if I search in here now, let's say bacon. There we go. And let's say basil and cheese. I just want bacon on this one. Perfect. So now we have this working. Let's go ahead and do some more customizations to this drop down. So there's a few things I want to do in here now. I want to hold the toppings in state within React. So how do I do that? Well, it gives you, React Select gives you a nice on-change handler. So as a prop, it takes on-change. So we can do set toppings, but we don't have any state in here now. So what we have to do, we have to go up top, right here. I always like to put my state right at the top of the component. And there's two pieces of state I want to hold, the toppings and the size. So how do we do this? Well, firstly, if you're not too familiar with React, you have to use state, which is a hook. And within this hook, I want to, well, with this hook, I want to store the toppings and the size. So to do this, I can just type toppings, and then the convention is to always have your setter as your initialized variable at the start. So in this case, it's toppings. So I'm going to say set toppings. And toppings, this is an actual really important thing to note within React Select. If you're using multiple selectable options, like isMulti, when onChange gets fired, it will send down an array. If you're not using isMulti, it will just send down an object. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to initialize this to an object, an array, actually. Secondly, what we're going to do, we're going to do size, set size equals use state. This one, you can initialize it as an object, and I'll do that just for the sake of this demonstration. But what we want to do now, we want to use what we've got here. So set toppings and set size. I'm not going to be using toppings or size. I'll just show you that within the browser, we can check that the state's there. You can use these two variables to pass on maybe to an ordering system or whatever it may be, an external API. But if we scroll down now, in here we have the set toppings, and I now want to put this in here, but instead of set toppings, I want to do set size. And that looks good to me. If there's no pizza toppings in there when someone's searched for a pizza topping, we can add a small message to make it easier for the user to see. So we'll send down, let's think here, no other pizza toppings. Sad face. That should be good. And let's also add a placeholder in here. Select pizza toppings. And then we have, let's put these there. And also, if you haven't seen this in React before, when you just send down like a prop here, that's just a truthy value to say, okay, this has been sent down, go ahead and enable it. So there's a few more things I want to do before we start wrapping up this video. We have the theme change, we have an onChange handler. I'm going to demonstrate all this very shortly. The last few things I want to do is just take a look here. So we've got the theme in here as well. The reason I didn't just pass the theme object to both is just because it can get quite messy doing that. And since we're using it in two places here, I thought it was best placed within a component, within a function, that is. It is within our function component within a function. So what we want to do now, I do want to check that this state is working. So how do we go about checking that? Well, let's go take a look. Firstly, I think that we should take a look at the animated component. So if we add extra cheese, we add in the onions, and then if I click on here, you've got that nice little animation that just goes from right to left and removes it. And that's really nice. So I'm going to go ahead now and pull up the components, and hopefully you can see this. That you should be able to see that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on which pizza card do we have here. I don't want the second pizza card or the first, I want the third one. And this should have its own internal state. And we don't have any state there just yet. We should have initialized state if we click on pizza card there. So we have the data, we have the set ordered, and we have just some generic stuff going on here. So like hooks, these two here are our use state hooks that we initialized. So if I go ahead and add in onions and then extra cheese, you'll see the state updates. Brilliant. If I add this 14-inch pizza in there we are. Perfect. And in here we have an array with two options, onions and extra cheese. So that's how you store the internal data. And then, like I said, you could just do an order pizza here, and that would go ahead and fire off to some API, which would be really nice. The beautiful thing about React Select is that it does give you that asynchronous option. Now, I'm not going to cover it fully in this video, I just want to tell you about it. The way you can do async, and it provides you with many options, so you could use like callbacks or promises, and it comes with a bunch of event listeners. But what's really cool about the React Select component in itself is that if you're hitting this select here, and it's bringing back, say, 10 rows from a database or some API, there's no need to be calling off to that API all the time. So what React Select does, it gives you cache options to be able to just cache that data. And that's really nice. And also, one thing that you may come across is that if you want to do an autocomplete, like we have here in this select, and where you can just type and search, you also want to use asynchronous calls to be able to go to the database or the API and retrieve some information. And also, I believe it comes with debounce, so it's not hitting your database each time. It'll only do it once the word's actually in there. You can also have multiple other props in here. So there's a prop for fixed options. So if you was ordering a pizza and say it was for a party of 6 people and one pizza had jalapenos on and that was the only thing what was the topping for that pizza, you could force jalapenos in here as a topping. Hopefully that person likes hot food. But that's pretty much it for this video. We've covered multiple selectable drop downs, which is this here. We've covered singular drop downs where you can only select one item. And I've shown you how to use React useState, which is a simple hook that just gives us some internal state and we can store our pizza toppings and the size of the pizza. One last mention that I was using, one thing I have to mention, I've been using React Select for the past few months, as I mentioned earlier in the video, and I've been using it alongside Downshift to create a search field that was hitting an Axios API, and I found that really, really useful. So I'm pretty much set on React Select now. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below as to what you're using or your thoughts on React Select. It's one of those libraries, I say library, it's more of a package, I guess we'd say these days. It's a package that is going to be around for a long time. It's got brilliant support. The team behind it is fantastic. The selectable itself out of the box is fantastic. You can get it set up really easy as shown in this video. And I've already mentioned it's very flexible. You've got a ton of options in there that you can use. So I do recommend this package. Go ahead and check it out. And thanks for watching this video.